Hey, what's up guys? James Pena here, and welcome to my channel where we learn tips and subtleties on basic sleight of hand. Today we are going to go over the most basic of forces, and today's going to be going over the Riffle FORCE. Super easy to do, not hard, but this is a tips and subtleties channel, so I've got a few of them. That'll make it look a little bit better, how to present it, when to use it. I don't really have tricks for you yet. That'll be in a later video. But as of right now, I kind of just want you to understand the basics of the Riffle FORCE. So without further ado, let's get to today's video. I do want to say sorry for the bad lighting. I am kind of recording this later in the day, and I'm kind of just using my phone light. But I will be getting you better light set soon, so hopefully you see better results in the video. But let's get straight to the Riffle FORCE. If you don't know what a force is, it's basically, well, I mean, it's kind of in the name. You're forcing a certain card to someone, essentially. So what that's able for you to do is create, I don't know, better pieces of magic with it. So I'll show you a quick example. So let's pretend these are both the same card. And let's just pretend they are both the ace of diamonds, okay? So ignore that this is a heart, but we'll pretend they're both an ace of diamonds. Let's say I have this in my pocket, and and I tell the spectator, look, I have this one card in my pocket. I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but I woke up this morning knowing that I should have put it in my pocket, and I think this was meant for you. And then you just leave that there. Then you can shuffle it. You can have them shuffle it. Doesn't really matter at this point. Do a bunch of cuts or whatever. They shuffle it or whatnot. And then I would just come here, right? And just be like, look, they're all different, right? The moment I see that other ace of diamonds, I'm literally just gonna grab it and put it to the top. So as of right now, it's right here. Then I'm gonna execute a Riffle FORCE, right? So what it looks like, I'll be like, hey, look, I'm just gonna go like this, and anytime you feel like it, tell me when to stop. And then they're like, okay. Go like this, they say stop right here. I'll be like, hey, are you sure? And they'll say yes, and I'll give that to them. At this point, I've now forced them that ace. They're gonna see it's the ace of diamonds. That's what they're gonna think. Or see. And I'm like, hey, do you know what's significant about this card? And they'll be like, no. Well, look at the card that's over here. And then they'll turn this over, and they're the same card. That's kind of the Riffle FORCE in its most basic, extremely basic form. I do not suggest that you do this routine, what I just showed you. I am purely using this as an example. But I would want you to get creative with it. And I also just wanted you kind of like what the force can do. But that's essentially forcing a playing card. Now let's get straight into it. So how to force a playing card. All you really need to know is either the top card or the bottom card. For me, how I peek the bottom card after they shuffle it, I'll just kind of do this motion, right? And if I were to do it more at your view, the moment I do this, I can see that whole card. Right, so I'll go over it one more time. After they shuffle it, grab, and I just rotate the deck. Just like that. And you're able to see it. In full motion, right? That's how fast it should be. You don't really have the greatest point of view, but if you to actually execute this, you would be able to see this yourself. Just do this. You're just twisting the deck, or rotating the deck. Grabbing here, index finger, and you're just literally doing that and grabbing it. And then from your point of view, you will be able to see that. So if I were to shuffle this real quick, I see the 5 of clubs. Now, if you want to spot the top card after they shuffle it, I taught the dribble in my previous video. I'll leave the link somewhere up here. When you dribble, if you kind of wait to the last second, you see how you can see that? You've got to be kind of quick about it. You've got to be pretty proficient with the dribble for you to see that. right? And I know this isn't the best point of view, but I'm gonna turn my body so you can kind of see it, right? Just like that, and done. Now you don't do this. Don't just stay there and then drop the last card off. You want to see it right before it drops off. So if you caught that, good job. Another little tip for that little dribble peek. Well, there you go. That's another tutorial for you. I just taught you how to do the dribble peek. Peeks are pretty useful too, but that's not what we're teaching today. So going over the dribble again, just to kind of peek that top card. Another thing you don't want to do is you want to have it to where you can slightly see that pip. Slightly. You do not want to dribble like this, right, to peek it, because it is extremely suspicious. Try it out yourself. Do it in front of a camera. You will see how suspicious that looks. You just want to do it where you can barely see it. That's what you want. So now you know how to look at the bottom card and the top card. So let's say they shuffle it. In this case, we're gonna peek the bottom card. So King of Hearts. All right, you do this motion and you spot the King of Hearts. Now what you wanna do, if you look at other tutorials and stuff like that, they'll usually just cut it like this and keep that break. If you don't know how to handle breaks, I also have another link in the description on how to hold pinky breaks and stuff like that. So what people do is they'll just cut it and then just like that, a break. That's what they'll do. I personally don't like it, so I'll do a swing cut. If you don't know what a swing cut is, I haven't taught the swing cut yet, but again, I'll put in the link in the description of how you can do the swing cut. But I'll do a quick overview. It's essentially just this. You're holding the deck like that. You are peeling just a section. I mean, you could do half. You could do even more than half if you wanted to. But in our case, it's just this. So you are going to peel this. That's what it looks like. And you're literally just going to kick over the index finger. Once it's extended all the way out, you're literally just grabbing it. And then continue to do it. At first, you might be a little uncoordinated. It is kind of weird at first if you're not really someone who handles a deck of playing cards. But just keep practicing it. You'll get it eventually. It's pretty. Once you do it, it'll be pretty easy. So once you learn the swing cut, you peek the bottom card, in this case, the 10 of clubs. You want to swing cut, basically, if I can cut this in half. If you imagine this cutting in half, you want to split these two packets. And I'll show you what I mean here in a second. So you see the 10 of clubs. You want to swing cut 1, then 2. The reason why you do that is because now you're at exactly half. 2 halves of a packet. So I'll do this one more time. 1, 2, and then put the packet on top. Just like that. So now that you've done that, all you want to do is just riffle your thumb down. Hence the name Riffle Force. So just go like that. And no matter where they stop you, it could be up here, it could be down here, no matter where they stop you, you will always, because you have this break, you're going to be able to lift up and execute the move. So let's say they say stop here. When they say stop there, you want to keep your finger down. It just adds a little subtlety, which I'm going to show you here in a bit. So keep that down. Back here, you are going to grab this end and this end, right? Not forget about this hole just in a second, and just push. You see how this is where they stopped, but this is where the actual card is at. Do this one more time. Let's say they stop here. you just want to push this back end forward. And it should look like this, right? So this is where they really stopped, but this is what you really want. Once you do that, you leave your thumb there, so it looks like you've been maintaining it the entire time, but you're secretly just switching it from their brake to your brake. So from their point of view, it looks like this, here to there. Now, you peaked the 10 of clubs, right? Which was the bottom card. So you don't want to give them this card. That is not what you want to do. I mean, you can if you're doing the key card principle, but that is a whole other story, which we can go over in another video. So once you forced it, you're going to have them look at this card because voila, it's the 10 of clubs. You have them look, I just hold it like this. So there's no way in like chance that I can look at this. And then simply what I do is throw it onto the deck and I have them shuffle again. Now you're like 100 steps ahead of them because you know exactly what their card is because you forced it. Now you can literally just do whatever you want. So little tips that I can give. So one is obviously keep that pressure there. So when you actually force, it just seems like that's still their card. It's one thing you can do. Another little subtlety I like doing is I ran into the case where my break, like sometimes I would swing cut like wrong and I would have more cards down here and less cards up here. And then when they told me stop, they would tell me stop like down here, right? I mean, you could still do the fourth. It's totally still doable. You would just push this up and then this packet, since it's kind of covering it, right? As you can't see, your thumb would just slide up and then do that. But it looks weird, right? Because if they stop down here, right? It's like, well, why is there a bigger packet? So what I did was I actually didn't do half, right? I would aim to hit my force a little bit more down here. And this is what I mean. So let's say I picked the top card, in this case, the King of Hearts. So what I did is I just swing cutted just a little bit up here, just a little bit. And then I would keep swing cutting, but it would be like this. It would be cradled like this. And you could do this, do that. And from here, right, it's messy up here, messy back here, messy all around. So it looks like nothing's happening. And as you're squaring up the deck, you're really just fixing that position, right? So one, it's all the way down here. Sorry for the light. It's all the way down here. And it's actually a little less noticeable when it's more down here. So now when I force a card, I go pretty fast with it. I'm like, hey, I just want you to tell me when to stop. And they're like, okay. And then I'll rush to the bottom. So they'll say stop. And it'll always be near my actual break. Right? I'll be like, hey, tell me when to stop. And they'll say stop. If anything, sometimes they'll even hit it. But even if they go a little bit below, it doesn't matter. Right? Because their break was here and I just put it more up here, if that makes sense. Hopefully this all makes sense. If it doesn't, please leave it in the comments below. So I'll go over this one more time. So in this case, let's use the 5 of diamonds. You grab about 15 cards, right? And then from here, you want to angle it so it cradles. And then as you're squaring, I'll try to do this with one hand. Can't. Now you have your break a little bit more down here, if that makes sense. And then kind of just, hey, I'll tell you when to, or tell me when to stop. And then just kind of rush towards. Don't do this. Don't do that. Just go at a faster pace, if that makes sense. one little bonus tip if you are watching. You can, so like let's say you want to force, we'll pick a different card. Let's say you want to force the Queen of Hearts. Right? You come here, don't want to stop, and they stop here. Let's say because you already know this card, you'll be like, oh hey, I know exactly what card you stopped at. And then you can be like, I think you stopped at the Queen of Hearts. Then from here, you do a double. That queen is right underneath. And they'll be like, oh, that's not the queen. Then from here, if you literally know any other color change, you can do it. If you know the Cardini, that'd be perfect. If you know how to do the Erdnase color change, you can do that too. Right? If you want me to teach that, I can, let me know. You can, let's say, feel still like this. This would actually be a perfect moment, right, to do the snap change. And then change it to that Queen of Hearts. Again, just a little bonus tip on what you can do with the riffle. You don't always have to stop exactly where you want. You can do a double and do whatever you want from there. Guys, that's all I have for today's video. Hopefully you liked everything. As always, if you liked today's video, please like, definitely helps me out. I'm trying to grow and I need your guys' support for that. I literally can't do this by myself. If there's anything that you want to improve on the channel, or if there's any questions that you have on today's video or even on a previous video, or if there's anything you want to add for next week's video, if you want to, I don't know, if there is something you want me to teach, by all means, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Another thing that will definitely help me out is if you definitely share, you don't have to share the video, just kind of share my channel, kind of spread it out there. Again, it definitely helps me out. I cannot do it without you guys. If you do subscribe, if you do like what I provide, then hit the subscribe button down below. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you get that update every Friday when I post the next video. But besides that, I don't think I have anything else. So I will see you guys next week. Peace.